What I want to tell you is just a little bit of how I got here so you understand my story and how I came to sort of organically work in the note business and blend that with the real estate business to create this whole dance between property and paper. I was a nurse in my first life. In that first life before midlife crisis, I was a nurse. In fact, I still have my RN license. I worked in Pasadena at Huntington Memorial Hospital. I worked in the ICU. I worked in the ER. Loved it. Lots of activity and excitement. I then did some paperwork. I worked as an RN for Blue Cross and Health Net, auditing their charts. That worked really well with my family life. I could work 3-4 days a week. I could control my own schedule, and I was making pretty good money, which allowed me to raise my kids and spend a lot of time with them when they were little. That I was being a nurse, I started saying, you know, I'd really love to make money doing real estate and learn how the stock market works and all of that. So I started taking lots of seminars. And one thing I got turned on to back then was the note business. I got a mailer in the mail. One of the really big marketers out there, information marketers, sent around this mail piece that just caught my attention. The note business. And I'm going, what's that? So like, what is the note business? That sounds really interesting and very mysterious and arcane. I must know about it. So anyway, I ordered the course, and then I got the upsell, and I ordered the next course, and I went to the seminar, and then I went to another seminar, and then I paid for the boot camp. Then I paid for this service and that service, spent lots of money learning about real estate and about notes, and mainly didn't do that very much with it. Fell flat on my face for a really long time, still working as a nurse all through the 90s and through the early part of this decade in the 2000, 2001. And then finally, I had a midlife crisis, and I started feeling like I was 80 years old instead of 39 and a half. And so in 2004, I had saved some money. I had a little bit of a nest egg. I said, I don't care that I have 2 mortgages and 4 kids and that I'm the main breadwinner in my family. I got to do something different. I want to see what I can do with my life. And I just quit my job on a dime. I don't actually think you should do that. Don't try this at home. It was, I don't know that I would do it the same way again. I would have made a little more sane of an adjustment, because it was just too hard on my my psyche. But a lot of people these days are in that situation not by choice. They got laid off. Something happened where they just don't have their income anymore. And you're in that space, and you just got to create your life from scratch. Anyway, so I studied more about the note business. I said, I'm going to do the note business hardcore full time. So I started really working what I had learned back starting in the 90s. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to be in the note business, I might as well I'm in California, I might as well get my real estate license, because in California, ostensibly, you need to have a real estate license to buy and sell and broker notes. So I went ahead and got my real estate license. Then I needed some place to hang it. So I went interviewing at different brokerages, and I was really scared of every place that I went. I knew nothing. I mean, I just knew nothing. I was so wet behind the ears, and I was scared, but I was all pretending to be all like confident and everything. Anyway, ended up hanging my license with some people that were doing some traditional listings and sales. So I learned that side of the business, how to be a listing agent. Did a ton of short sales. Like, blew my brain out trying to do short sales back in the early days, and they weren't saying yes to anything. It was crazy. But the main focus of that company was on investments, buying and selling property. So a big part of my job was to just do a lot of cold calling. So I would get these lists of people who owned their property free and clear. They didn't have any mortgages. Usually these were older people, retired people. And they said, honey, I would sell, but I don't want to pay capital gains. And I need the income, the rental income for retirement. Plus, you know, I want to leave a good inheritance for my kids. So even if I could offer them all cash, 10-day closing, they didn't want it. What they wanted was to defer capital gains, to have a nice income for retirement, and to leave a good inheritance. Okay? So after dozens and dozens and dozens of these kinds of conversations, a light bulb went on off in my head, and I said, hey, this is where the note business and real estate fit together, because if those owners would carry paper, would they offer seller financing, they could sell for a price that was good. They'd get top dollar because they're offering terms. Number two, they would defer capital gains according to Internal Revenue Code 453, the installment sale that would let them pay capital gains a little bit at a time. They would have income for retirement. Instead of collecting rental income, they would be collecting payments on a note, and I could show many of them that in most cases their payments on a note were almost double what they could collect in rent on a single family. And also they could leave a good inheritance. A lot of kids don't want to inherit something that they have to manage. A lot of people are real happy to inherit a note. A property can be put in a living trust as part of the estate, so can a note. So a kid might be really happy to get a payment stream, $2,000 a month coming like clockwork every month. Never gets called for taxes, toilets, or tenants, or anything like that. Okay? So when I could start to see, look, if we're talking to certain people, sellers, owners of property, what we need to do when they don't want to sell for cash, we need to teach them about carrying paper and holding a note. That would meet their objectives. So when I could handle their objectives and meet their needs in that way, I could put deals together that weren't happening. Okay? They would say no to an all-cash offer, even a really good all-cash offer, but they would say yes to owner financing and carrying paper because. So that's how the note business and real estate just started blending for me in that environment. And incidentally, in that office while I was working there was a gay associate that every time we would have our meetings, our group meetings, okay, what deals do we have that we're working on? What properties are we trying to buy? Okay, and we'd all talk about what we have going on. But every time a deal would come up in the office, I'd say, well, everyone else is thinking about, let's get hard money, let's pay cash, all this stuff. And I go, well, will they carry a note? Will they offer terms? Will they do seller financing? Why don't we see if they'll carry a note for us? Because then we can leverage the money. We don't need all that money. And we could still acquire the property and make a profit, just not having to come up with, $2 or $3 or $500,000 cash. And so because I was always talking about notes, this gay associate, he made a nickname for me. He said, "Hey, Note Queen." So that's where Note Queen came from, is because I was always talking about notes and seller financing in the office. So that's where Note Queen came from. I can still hear him now. "Hey, Note Queen." Anyway, all right, that's it for now.